Welcome to the Dare to Share challenge. It has been a minute and I am super excited because I have another incredible guest waiting in the wings to take to the bravest stage out there. If you're new here and you're wondering what the Dare to Share challenge is all about, let me tell you. It is about leaders taking to the stage and daring to share with more depth, more vulnerability than ever before. Why? So that you see the human behind the perception, so that you realize everyone that you look up to that inspires you, they're really no different to you. And that must mean if they can do it, you can do it too. So, with that being said, welcome to the stage, Carly Cooper.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you. And I know we were chatting a little bit before we went on. You were meant to come on a couple of months ago. And I've had this happen a few times with guests where, for whatever reason, fate hasn't worked in the favor. And then when they've come on, it's like the message that is then shared, it wouldn't have even been a thing had they gone with the original booking. So I'm super excited to see what your share is going to be today.
I'm excited to see what my share is going to be today.
I love that. So before we dive in, Carly, I always like to ask everyone, what made you come onto this stage? Because this isn't like a typical podcast. This isn't kind of the the fancy surface level conversations, right? I specifically ask anyone that comes onto this stage to get more vulnerable, more real, more raw than they've ever been before. And that can feel a little bit uncomfortable. And for some people, it's a little bit too much of a stretch. But for people like you who say, yes, I want to be part of this, what goes through your head when you're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this movement?
I find it refreshing because the thing that I find more uncomfortable than being vulnerable is the bullshit. Like that I find so like being around inauthentic people, having surface conversations, knowing that someone is posting the best of real of their life when I know that they're miserable in their marriage or they're unhappy in their job and they're posting all of this stuff. I think it's so dangerous because people are looking at their influencers or their role models as like someone who they want to aspire to be like. And yet many people aren't telling the truth. And it's so dangerous because, just as women, entrepreneurs, whatever, we're constantly like looking at people who are 5 steps further and comparing our journey. And when it's inauthentic or it's not real or it's smoke and mirrors, I think that it can just lead people down this path of just so much just comparison and feeling like a failure or wanting to give up too soon. And so why I chose to do this and why I love what you're doing and what you're all about is because it's where I wish social media would be. Like I wish that that's where the world was, is in the real, in the raw, in the vulnerable, in the honest conversation. Because even for me, like I love hearing that people who I admire aren't perfect and they cry themselves to sleep at night. Not because I'm like wanting their misery or for them to struggle, because it just makes it like, oh, okay, I'm normal or that's life,
Yeah.
right? So I am all for vulnerability and authenticity and that's why I was just like, hell yeah. And I love what you're doing. So kudos to you and congratulations. Keep going.
Oh my gosh, I love everything that you just said then. It's so like the nail on the head of, and as you were speaking, I just had this memory of, being in an abusive relationship, many years ago, but posting on social media like everything's roses. And this is exactly why
Yeah.
we need this change, because we do. We shout about the highs and the successes and we hide the rest. And that's not fair to anyone watching us who's looking up to us and feeling inadequate themselves because they're just not seeing the full picture. So I love all of that. Now, before we dive in, Carly, we do need a direction from you. And so I need to ask you which level of vulnerability you're going to be opting for today. So for you guys watching, Carly has two choices. She has the stretchy choice, which is It's your story, it's your journey, it's everything that you've been through, your trials, your tribulations, the lessons that you've overcome. And you've come out the other side stronger and more powerful than ever. And those messages are so important to share. Or we have the extreme option. And this is where we get a little bit juicy and we dive into something that you're navigating, you're experiencing, you're growing through right now in real time. For everyone watching, there's no cop out. One is not worse than the other. Everything is super vulnerable here, but we do need a sense of direction. So, Carly, where do you want to take us today?
Door number 2.
Or
Let's
number
go all
three?
in.
Oh, it's like a game show hosted up there.
As long
I
as there's
love it.
not like a donkey behind it. We're good. Let's go. Let's do it.
Amazing. So we are going to go extreme. Now, I do have a soft spot for these shares because these are the kind of shares that most leaders don't talk about until they get to the other side, until they've figured it out and they have it mastered and they're not in the messy middle, as I like to call it, anymore. So the leaders that share the extreme level, this really is real and raw leadership right here. So with that being said, Carly, are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So I have 2 questions for you. On the surface, very simple questions, but the key is in the depth that you're going to give us. So the first question is, what does being a real and a raw leader mean to you? And we're not just talking about in business, right? We're talking about the whole picture. We're talking about the human, the woman, the individual that lives in everyday life, just like the rest of us behind the scenes. So that realness and that rawness, what does that look like? What does that feel like to you in that everyday life that you're living?
Well, to me, it means really feeling what you're feeling, whatever that is, and allowing it, however that looks like. So, just to give you a tiny bit of my backstory, because you can find it somewhere, um, I've been a life coach for the last 16 years. In May of 2021, my husband, who I had been with for 27 years, took his life. And he was suffering from depression. There was a lot going on at the time. I was supposed to do a webinar that day. Um, I was the one who found him, dealt with that, all of it. And I had the wherewithal to go online and cancel that, like, right to everybody who subscribed. I don't know how, I don't know why. And, at the time, my son was 14. I had 2 dogs at that time. I was trying to navigate a life that was built for 2 now as a single mom, dealing with my own grief, the trauma, my son's, all of it. I basically took a good year and a half. I unplugged, I did what I had to do, but I had to really feel. And yeah, I did the distraction thing, renovated the house, and it wasn't until all of that stopped and the silence came that that's when the healing and the feeling had to happen. And I was someone prior to that who soldiered on and repressed my feelings and all of that. And now I just couldn't, like, it was impossible. And so I have learned in the past 3.5 years how to feel, how to honor all feelings, and how to navigate through that. And just also recognizing that I am now, because of all of that and because of everything that has happened in my life, a completely different version. I'm still the same person, but I'm a different version because I've been forced to be. And so it is so important, even when you want to repress or numb out or, hide. And there are many days then and even now that I feel that. Like last week, because of the moon and hormones and all of that, I wanted to just like eat everything, not talk to anybody, and like pull the covers over. But you can't do that all the time. But it was a really hard week. And so I did whatever I had to do to honor that and also accept it, but do what I had to do to make it a little more comfortable or a little easier, because it's not going to be this crazy shift of like, okay, if I just take a bath or if I just connect with a friend or if I eat that bag of chips, then I'll be great. No, but I'm going to do what I need to do so I can just inch forward a tiny bit further. And so for me, it's really about honoring where you're at, accepting where you're at, but also doing the work so you don't build a house there. And you continue to move forward inch by inch, little by little, accepting the setbacks, honoring yourself through those setbacks, and picking yourself up when you can, however you can.
Mm. I love
So,
what you
yes.
said there about honoring where you're at, but not building a house there. I think that's so important. That's like such a key part there. This is what I took away from that, Carly, is, it's okay to feel how you're feeling. And I love, again, what you said about, what was it? The feeling and the healing. I'm not sure how you phrased it, but I was like, oh yeah, that's so potent. Just that phrase there, right? Feel to heal. I think that's what you said. And how many of us distract ourselves or numb it or hide it or feel shame around it? But when you enable yourself to sit with it, and this is what you're saying, Carly, you sat with it and you felt it and then you moved through it. I think that's so powerful to share.
Yeah. And I think truly, like, the only way through is through. Like,
Yes.
there's no going around it. There's no going above it, below it, avoiding it. The only way through is through. And it's
Mm,
not easy and it's not fun. And some days feel impossible, but you still have to move through it.
yeah.
That's the only way to get to the other side.
Absolutely. And when it feels tough, you know that it can only get better, right? There's light at the end of the tunnel.
To allow yourself to feel it, right? Because if you stuff it down or repress it or numb it out for too long, it's just going to keep coming back. It doesn't just go away miraculously, right? So, yeah, there might be times where I can I feel stronger or feel um more resilient on certain days or on certain times, or because I also have an 18-year-old son. I'm in a relationship that I've been in for 2.5 years. Like, there's their stuff too. Like, it's not just me walking this earth. It's like I've got life around me. And I'm also a highly sensitive empath who feels everything incredibly deeply. And,
Mm,
so it's not just my stuff, it's everyone else's stuff plus the collective
yeah.
energy. Um, and so recognizing that there are some days and some weeks or some seasons that I have more bandwidth than others. And so that's when I can do more of the heavy lifting. And in those more vulnerable times, then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to just get a little bit stronger? So it's also
Mm,
managing expectation of what I'm capable and what my capacity is at any given moment. So it's a
yeah.
constant check in, right? Because it's constantly changing and evolving. I'm also 50 years old, so I'm navigating hormonal shit. It's never a good time, right? So there's that. I'm like, why does all this stuff have to happen while I'm in perimenopause? Like, that just doesn't feel fair. But okay, here we are. So it's a lot. And so understanding that and accepting it and recognizing that I don't have the bandwidth that I had when I was 30. So here I am now. Let's reevaluate. Let's look at all the things that are happening and just sort of recalibrate as we go every day. Like, every day is different, and being okay with that.
Oh my gosh, you've given us so much in that, Carly. I'm like, you've still got to do the dare to share, yeah. Okay, Carly, I'm going to dive into the big question because I feel like you have given us so much there, and I don't want to take away from the main question. So, for you guys watching, I'm about to ask Carly what she's willing to dare to share with us today. And I always like everyone to know, if you haven't watched this before, I never know what any of the guests are going to share. I never give them any guidance. They can go wherever they want to go. The only thing that I ask is that they go deeper and more vulnerable than they've ever gone before, so that you see they're human, so that you realize they're not these superhumans. They really are no different to you and I. And if they can still go after their dreams and they can still show up and they can still continue to grow whilst navigating the crazy thing called life that we all experience, then you can do it too. So, Carly, the big question is, what are you willing to dare to share with us today?
So, after much deliberation and sweaty armpits, I decided that after 17 years of coaching and after spending the last, I would say, year building an online program, spending time, energy, money, creating an online program, funnels, all the things, I've decided to automate that but step away from coaching and start a brand new career path at 50 years old. So I'm
Oh,
starting at the bottom. I'm doing something that is completely brand new. And basically, what I've decided to do, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm doing it too, is I've decided that I want to pursue being a voiceover artist. And the reason why I want to do that is because I feel like I need something that's just for me. So I have given most of my adult life to coaching others, to helping them through their personal growth journey, their mindset, the grief, motherhood, all the things. And I've always been that person. Even when I was in high school, I was the friend that everybody went to.
yeah.
And I feel like I've been giving of myself. And I've gotten to a point because of everything that I've been through, the trauma, all of it, that I feel like it's too much for me. It's too much for me with my own stuff, with the stuff in my life. I'm at capacity of what I feel like I can give to others or what I want to give to others. I don't have the bandwidth anymore. I don't feel like I could be um, the best coach that I once was because of all of my stuff. And it's just too hard and heavy. And I had to really come to terms with that. And so I've wanted to pursue something else. I didn't know what. I truly feel like, my goal in life was to never need a resume because I don't want to work for anybody else. And I don't feel like I'm super employable in terms of like this, like
Yeah.
applying for a job. I still wanted something that was my own, that was flexible, that was creative, that was an outlet, that was still using my voice because I do have some performance background, but I didn't know what that was. And I had asked for divine guidance. And long story short, I sort of came upon this answer and I just took a course and completed it. And I'm at the very bottom. I haven't even like done an audition yet, but I love the idea of still doing something and still putting myself out there and still being an entrepreneur and having my own schedule and autonomy and flexibility, but doing something that was just for me, that didn't require me having to be invested in somebody else's well-being because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm since this with happened with my husband, I find that my capacity and my bandwidth and my sensitivity has gone through the roof.
Yes.
And what I used to be able to hear my clients and leave it at the end of the session. And I find that now I'm just a sponge to it all and it's too much. So I still have my online program. I'm still selling it. I'm still accepting people in it. It's still a wonderful, great program that can help a lot of people. There is still a Facebook group for support, but I've taken myself out of the one-to-one, you know, model of the coaching, created more of like an evergreen product. But my focus is going to be on just this new career path that just feels like it's for me. And it's vulnerable because it's brand new. I've got the imposter syndrome. I've got all the things that you get when you start. Like, who am I to do this? And is my voice even good? And like all of it. I'm dealing with the doubt. I'm dealing with all of it. But I'm also here for it. I'm also like here for it. So that's my big share.
Oh my gosh. I love all of that so much. And I feel like that is just going to resonate with everyone, and it won't matter whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur, whether you're new, whether you're pivoting, because we can all relate to stepping outside of that comfort zone and diving into something new. And that might be creating a course that you've never done before. It might be pivoting in your business and starting a new venture. It might be like Carly's doing, completely rehashing what that looks like to you. I know I've pretty much been in all of those boats myself, and it can be scary starting again when you feel that you have so much experience and so much wisdom, but yet in a new arena, you're the new kid on the block, so to speak. And so I have so much kudos for you, Carly, to one, do that in the first place, but two, come on here and share that with everyone else, because that is going to be so powerful for everyone watching.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. And thank
Yeah, it feels
you.
good. It feels like, the good kind of scary, the kind of
Yes.
scary that is necessary. But that's just going to keep me motivated and keep me going,
I
because there's
love that. That's the
enough.
best kind of scary.
Yeah, exactly. And it's necessary. I mean, if you don't feel scared, it's not big enough, or it's not, it doesn't, you don't value it enough. Right. So, yeah, I think it's
Oh my
good.
God. I love it. We love that. Scary where you're not sure if it's excitement or fear. It's like it's somewhere in the middle, but it's enough to keep you moving.
Yeah. I always say, like, the fear that makes you feel like, oh, my life is in danger, that's where you want to get out. But all the other kind of fear, you kind of just have to like feel it and see it for what it is. And I mean, we can get into the whole mindset of it, which we'll save for another day. But all of that is the normal kind of fear that will always be there. There will always be fear and resistance. That never goes away. And to me, the reframe on that is, if you feel that, you're onto something, right?
Exactly.
Because if you didn't feel that, if I had all the confidence in the world and I was like, yeah, I got this, no problem, then it's not big enough and it's
Yeah,
not valuable enough to me, right? So it's the healthy dose. It's the healthy dose.
totally agreed. Carly, can you tell everyone? So, this is changing for you at the moment, but how can people listening get into your world as of this present moment?
Yeah. So, I mean, I still have my podcast that's out there. I haven't done new episodes, but there's 28 episodes that are living. That podcast is called So That Just Happened. My online program that is available and accepting people is called Rekindle Your Life. That is available. You can get everything on my website, thecarlycooper.com. thecarlycooper.com. You can listen to my podcast there. You can read more about my Rekindle Your Life program. You can follow me. That's sort of the main hub where everything lives.
Perfect. And we'll put all of those links in the show notes below. So, if you're listening, sorry, we
Yeah,
had
I was
lag
going to
there.
say, if you need a voiceover artist in the future, there's that too.
Absolutely. So all of those links will be in the show notes below. So if you're listening to this on the go, you can come back, hop in, and go and get in Carly's amazing world. Carly, thank you so much for braving the stage today, for daring to share. I'm so glad that we waited a couple of months for whatever reason that was, and now we got to hear this incredible share, because I really feel that this is so powerful and it's going to empower so many people watching and listening.
Well, thank you for inviting me to your wonderful stage, and keep doing the incredible work that you're doing, because I believe in it so strongly. And I wish there were more people who were brave enough to be real and raw and accept and invite other people, because I really wish that this was the way of the world. But you know what? Someone's got to pioneer it. So good on you.
We're on it. We're on it. Carly, thank you so much. And for you guys watching, please do give this show some love. Please do share it with people, friends, family, relatives, colleagues, contacts, anyone that you know, because like Carly said, someone has to pioneer change. And the more of us that get behind this, the more we can be that change that we want to see in the world and in the online space. So thank you guys for watching. Carly, thank you for joining us. And I will see you all again next time on Dare to Share Challenge. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.